Welcome to another episode of the Supply Chain Ambassador podcast. I'm your host, Bruno, helping you navigate the world of supply chain in a fun and engaging way. The pandemic has certainly changed the way we think about our office spaces. Overnight, working from home became the new norm. But working from home is not for everyone. As we change the ways we think about our office spaces, it becomes important that we find a more flexible solution. Helping me to learn about the beautiful and flexible workspaces available here in Ottawa is Vince Valenti. Vince Valenti is the CEO of Workaway Offices, a co-working and shared office space provider in Ottawa, Ontario. For the past 32 years, Vince has been a serial entrepreneur and has started several very successful companies in the financial services, technology, and real estate sectors. For the past 5 years, he's been expanding the Workaway Offices model with beautiful offices that are available with flexible monthly terms. Welcome, Vince.
Hey, Bruno, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you.
How did you get started?
Well, you know what, Bruno, first of all, I've always have loved new ideas. I have been not only an entrepreneur, but I like to think of myself as a bit of a disruptor. You know, if I can do something that is quite different from the competition, you know, I love having that competitive advantage. So about 7 years ago, after 25 years of running 4 other companies, we sold those companies. And it's kind of funny. I thought I might be able to retire at that time, but I said, you know what? No, I don't think I'm ever going to retire. And I think that the funeral home is going to take me away with my shoes on. You know, like I'm going to be working, I think, till to the end. But anyway, so I thought I would start investing in some real estate. I had one property. I decided to buy another one, and the one that I bought was entirely empty. It looked pretty bad. I mean, the interior was worn out. I mean, the carpets, the wall, it needed a huge refresh. So anyway, my idea back then was I thought I'll hire a real estate agent. Mm-hmm. And we put up a for lease sign on the front lawn, and we tried that for about a year, and people would come in and go, ugh, you know, it doesn't look too good. And, you know, off they'd go somewhere else. So one day I happened to be talking to a banker, and she came in to see the office, and she goes, so what are you planning on this? I said, you know what, I'd like to rent it out. And, you know, once I have somebody to rent it out, I'm going to put a lot of money into it and fix it up really nice. And she said, have you heard about co-working? And my answer to that was, what the heck is co-working? I really did not know what it was. This was about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So she explained that she had a client that was doing co-working and that they were making money. And I thought, okay, this is kind of interesting. So I began researching co-working. And the more I researched, the more I kind of liked it. And then what I decided to do was there was a conference in Montreal on co-working. And I said, what the heck, you know what? I'll spend the money. It was a 2-day conference, and I went, and I was the oldest guy there by a factor of like 10. Okay, like everyone's like your age and younger. Okay, but those 2 days really taught me a lot about the co-working model. Mm-hmm. So it was after that I came back and I said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And so we put, oh my gosh, probably about $300,000 into this property. Mm-hmm. Gutted it. We started with brand new fresh air systems because there was a 50-year-old HVAC, heating and ventilation system. New LED lighting rather than the old fluorescent tubes. So we went to work. Mm-hmm. We did all this, and what came out was what I like to think are just beautiful offices. So we said, okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this on a flexible month-to-month basis. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done this before, but that's never stopped me before. But you know what? I like to think I'm a fast learner. Mm-hmm. So I'll make some mistakes. Hopefully I learn from them and off we go. So we started marketing. Then, one person would come in, the next person would come in, blah, 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 blah. Before we knew it, and it took about, I'd say maybe about a year, we were 100% full.
Wow.
Not only were we 100% full, but we also had a waiting list, which I thought was kind of neat. These were startups that were coming in. These were freelancers, work at home professionals, people that just wanted a flexible office space where they could have it for a month or they could have it for 10 years or whatever the case might be. Mm-hmm. So I quickly realized that I really liked the model. And it's a model whereby you or anyone could come into the office space and in about 2 minutes, you're up and running because we provide everything. Furniture, Wi-Fi, coffee, tea, meeting rooms, lounges, photocopier. I mean, you can walk in with your laptop and all we have to do is give you your username and password for the Wi-Fi and you're working.
Wow.
So now we do the office cleaning. We do all that stuff. And this is available on a month-to-month basis. So if you come in and say, I just want something for a month, no problem. You might say, hey, you know what? I think I might stay for longer. No problem. If you want to leave, just give us 30 days notice. And, if you expand, not a problem. We can add more space. If you retract, not a problem. We can reduce your space. So flexibility is the key word with this model. Wow. And it's something that you don't get in a 5 or 10 year traditional lease.
That's right. Wow. Yeah. That's fantastic. Gosh, why Workaway?
Well, again, you know what? Because I think it's going to be the future, Bruno. Like, for example, right now, and I don't mean to jump ahead because I know that you might be asking this later, is that, right now, there's a lot of people working from home. And the future of workspace is changing and will change. We're in a society where we want everything quickly, right? If you just want an office space, and let's say you've got a team of 10 people or less, that's Workaway's perfect model right there. Because you can come in, we can give you the space for you and your colleagues. And again, in literally like about 2 minutes. One of the things that people don't know is that let's say you've got a 10-person operation or a 5-person operation as an example, and you want to go out and find a traditional office. So you're going to get a real estate agent, let's say, you're going to go start looking at offices. The landlord's going to say, Bruno, you know what? Minimum 3-month lease. I'd really like 5. I prefer 10, So then you say, okay, so I need a little reception area, nothing big, but I want something, for maybe client visitors to come in. I need a kitchenette. I might need a meeting room. Well, that's important. So when you come into Workaway, all of a sudden I go, Bruno, it's just month to month. Don't worry about it. And by the way, why should you pay more for a kitchenette? Because you're paying rent for a kitchenette and meeting rooms. We're going to give you the ability just to share them with other members of Workaway. So we give you an online app. If you want to book the meeting room for, say, tomorrow at 10 o'clock, it's booked for you. Okay. And that's your meeting room. You're not paying rent for that. You're just paying for the office that you're in. And the other thing that people don't know is that when you have an office, as a small business owner, your expenses are incredibly high. You look at it and say, oh, I know my rent is this and so on, but it's not just the rent. It's the Wi-Fi. It's the alarm system. It's the supplies in the kitchen. It's the photocopy paper. Like when you start adding all these little things up, you go, holy cow, this is a pretty big expense. Well, what we do is we allow our members to share that. So from a cost-effective, point of view, Workaway is much more cost-effective than a traditional office space, and it's available on flexible terms. So that's why I love Workaway so much.
Yeah. What are some misconceptions people have?
Well, you know what? I think some of the misconceptions are, for example, when you talk about a co-working space, my gosh, there's co-working for artists. There's co-working for specific type of industries. There's co-working where you literally look at, it looks like they've brought in a bunch of cardboard boxes to make tables. So co-working is expanding so rapidly that you have different players. Some of them are really niche based, but some of them are, they don't have the money to really invest in their facilities. And, you know, I've seen several of these where you go, oh my gosh, like I would not bring a client into the space. Like it just does not look professional. What sets us apart is you would be proud to bring any client in here. It's beautifully decorated, lots of plants for fresh oxygen. It's a comfortable work environment. I'm here every day. I love being here.
What challenges have you faced?
So the challenges are, for me, is that I would say the huge majority of my competitors, they enter into a relationship with another landlord to rent their space, and then they lease it out. They kind of sublease it, in effect. I own our space. And there's some very good competitive reasons why I want to do that. So the challenge that I've had is that we now have 3 buildings with co-working. The biggest challenge is bankers. When you go and talk to a banker about financing, before the pandemic, they really didn't understand the month-to-month terms. They like to see tenants with 5 and 10-year leases because it's a consistent income, right? So one of the biggest challenges has been convincing traditional bankers that co-working is going to be changing the rules and that month to month is something they're going to have to figure out. And the funny thing is that, and we have it here, is that even though we have people that are month to month, we have people here month to month who've been here for 3 years, you know? So, you know, what is, you know, how do you kind of, you know, interpret that, right? I mean, so that's the challenge has been getting the bankers to understand the model. The way we overcome it is that we make money and we can show that we pay our bills, and so they see that we're credit worthy and they trust us.
I was reading an article. According to Forbes, 74% of professionals expect remote work to become the standard, and 97% of employees don't want to return to the office full time. How do you interpret statistics like these, and what does it mean for Workaway offices?
It's a good point, Bruno. I think what's going to happen, because I follow this, believe me, on a daily basis. I think what's going to happen is that we're going to see a model that's going to be what's right now being commonly referred to as a 3+2+2. What that means is that you might go to the office for 3 days, you would work at home for 2 days, and then of course you have your 2-day weekends. What I'm seeing is that the CEOs, the C-suite executives, really don't like the remote work. They're finding that they're not as productive. They're on Zoom calls for 12 hours a day. So I think you're going to see some pushing from the top that will start to get people back on something like a 3+2+2. Our model works beautifully for that. So if somebody says, you know what, I think we're going to reduce our office footprint because we have so many people working at home, smart idea. However, what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of co-working and shared office places like Workaway offices, because we do have employees who want to work outside of the home 2 days or 3 days a week. The other thing too, Bruno, is the amount of research that I'm reading and hearing with regard to the detrimental effects that working at home can have on people's mental health. You have young families where you have, now they're homeschooling and they're trying to work. There's young parents that are saying, I got to get out of the house. I can't do this. There's been so many different things that have said, oh, this is going to really change everything. And so I don't believe 97% of the people are going to be working at home full time. I don't believe that. I think there'll be some sort of hybrid that will happen.
Now, I was reading some of your Workaway reviews, and I see that you guys have a 4.9 Google review, and that's from over 20 plus reviews. And I think that's incredible.
Thank you.
What is the common feedback that you get from your clients?
The common feedback is they love the service that we provide. They love the flexibility that we provide. They love the fact that they can come in and they can get a cafe latte, an espresso, a cappuccino. They skip Starbucks and they come here to get the coffee. They love the fact that we're running the offices for them. They're beautiful offices. They're comfortable. It's all of the above, Bruno. And you know what? It's funny because when you look at a 5 or 10-year lease, it's almost like you've just put some shackles on those people. Mm-hmm. And as a landlord, you can almost say, oh, I really can stop caring for 5 years. But before the lease renews, I'm going to be a nice guy again, right? I want him to renew the lease. Well, when you have someone that could leave at any time with 30 days notice, you tend to work a little harder to keep them happy, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just like, any other business. You want the repeat customers to come in. Yeah. You got to work hard to do that. And I like to think that's what we do.
Oh, wow. That's great. I just wanted to touch on the effects of the pandemic, how that's been on your business.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's a great question, Bruno. So when the pandemic hit, and let's go back to March of 2020, Workaway was 100% full with a waiting list. Literally in a week, we went to 32% occupancy. Everyone panicked, understandably. And they said, until this kind of calms down, I'm going to go work in your home. So it did have an effect. For the last year, we have been hovering roughly around 45-50% occupancy. Mm-hmm. But quite frankly, we're expanding. We're adding another few thousand square feet because we realize what the future is going to look like. And the future is going to look extremely bright. Mm-hmm. So the pandemic has had an effect. Co-working firms, and we're no exception, have been losing money. We're fortunate that we have the financial ability to withstand that. I have to say some of my competitors can't. There's been a lot of co-working firms around the country and around the globe that have had to shut their doors. And things like, for example, like since the pandemic started, we instituted deep cleaning every day. We've been doing that every day. So we've been taking all the precautions to make sure that it's safe. And right now, it's only the essential businesses that can come in and work. Mm-hmm. That's another reason why we're seeing a lower occupancy rate. Yeah. And so once things open up and all businesses can get back to work, I think we're going to be full in no time.
How can listeners find out more information?
So our website is workawayoffices.com. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be a great place. It's a very robust website. Through the website, there's an ability to contact our community managers, actually myself as well. I would say that would be the best place.
And any call to actions for listeners?
Well, I think the call to action is look after yourself, stay safe. Right now, I think the key word that I'm hearing from a lot of people is the word languishing. Yeah. And, and somewhere in between motivation and depression, try not to languish. This will come to an end. About a year or two after, we're going to look back and say, remember those crazy times we had back then? Wow, wasn't that a crazy time? So we need to stay positive. We need to stay healthy. Get out of your house, go for walks, do some exercise, do whatever you need to stay mentally strong.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's fantastic. Well, thank you, Vince. I think that was a very fantastic discussion. And
it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
I like to end with the quote of the day, but today I thought I would end with the meme of the day. So this was a meme I found online by a random person, but it says, working from home, the place where the hours you actually work are made up, and wearing pants is optional. So for those of us working from home.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Isn't that funny? I know. I see a lot of people nowadays walking around outside in their pajamas. I think they must finish a Zoom call and they walk outside and forget they're wearing their pajamas or whatever. But yeah. But anyway, that's funny.
Oh, that's great. No, that's all the questions I have. I want to thank you again for taking the time.
My pleasure, Bruno. It's a real pleasure. This is a great service that you're offering, and hopefully I've been able to offer some benefits to your listeners. Absolutely. And good luck to you, and stay safe.
Thank you so much.
Okay, take care. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. You can find the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Just search for the Supply Chain Ambassador Podcast. If you want to be a guest on the show, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just search for the Supply Chain Ambassador. Be sure to listen to my previous podcast, where I talk to a public sector professional on agile procurement. Thank you for listening.